Up next, I'd like to welcome Ms. Lindiwe Vilankulu, who is an adjunct academic in public relations, who will introduce the next speaker of our program. Ms. Vilankulu, please can you do us the honor?
Good afternoon, colleagues. Mine is to introduce our next guest speaker, Mr. Dunisani Nzaniswe. Mr. Dunisani Nzaniswe is the publisher of Ntabela, a Xitsonga language community newspaper. He currently serves as chairperson of the Community Media Subcommittee at the South African National Editors Forum, and he is also a press representative at the Press Council of South Africa. His work is deeply rooted in strengthening community media and also promoting indigenous language media in South Africa. Over the years, he has received several prestigious awards, which include Publisher Manager of the Year at Sikuvile Standard Bank Journalism Awards, as well as the Best Front Page Newspaper at the MDDA Sanlam Local Media Awards. Today, he will challenge us to think about the future of indigenous language media in the digital era through his presentation, which is titled Digitality No Longer at the Horizon, Sustainability Issues of Indigenous Language Media in Africa Zonga. Please help me give him a warm virtual welcome. And Mr. Dunisani, over to you, sir.
No, thanks very much. Good afternoon, colleagues. I'm audible?
Yes, you are.
All right. No, thanks very much. Yeah, na cancer program director Tatana Fumani na Manana Mahlangu. Distinguished guest, academics, media practitioner, and fellow community media representative. Firstly, I would like to thank the Department of Communication Science, for organizing this, important, platform, where community media practitioner can engage on the future of, community media and indigenous language, in South Africa. This webinar, for me, I think it was long overdue, is very important and is very critical. I think it's Dr. Baloy at the beginning emphasized the issue of partnership. It's very good to work together as a team. We must not work in a silo. No? Thank you very much. Yeah, let me briefly start with introduction for the publication. That I said, and then from at the end, I'll touch, what personally I'm doing on the side of SANEF in terms of digital media in the community media. Thank you. I won't go, word for word, because, of time. I think we're already late. We're supposed to be starting the Q&A by now, but yeah, I'll try to be fast as much as I can. Our unique proposition, the only dedicated Xitsonga language newspaper in South Africa, distributed into the community, bridges local concern and authority, promoting accountability, champions of linguistic diversity and cultural identity. Differentiation from competitors. I know, we've got Subon. I think one thing that, Dr. DPT didn't mention is that, I'm a product of Subon. I used to write for Subon back then in the days before, they start to publish in Sepedi only. Exclusively publishing Xitsonga 100%. But if we've got advert, 100% is limited to the content. It's only 100% Xitsonga, but advert, if you've got advert like our biggest advertisers. I mean, it is the national parliament. You see those notices. I mean, they bring it in whether it's paid, it's a vendor, or we take it. But I mean, the content, if you check it, it's 100%. I mean, save. I mean, a multilingual Tsonga speaking community. Target. I mean, educational institution like UNISA. Promote. I mean, language preservation and culture pride, bridges the generational language gaps, and I think I'm going to touch it a bit. I mean, as time goes on. Can we move to the next slide?
Can you see the next slide?
No. Yeah, I can see it now. Thanks very much. Now, key themes. I mean, one of the things that I mean we are doing. I mean, because we want to differentiate ourselves. We don't like they've touched a lot about I mean social media. You pick up I mean the story without checking the facts because of the spitty that is then social media. So we've put this I mean our content pillars. Okay, you journalists, you freelancers, when you cover I mean, the story, please use this framework. This is our content pillar. I mean, your stories must at least try to address, I mean, one of those things. One of these things. For example, culture and traditional. I mean, we are looking at there's those, I mean, up and coming artists or artists who perform. Uh, all those smaller parties, all those smaller parties there, it's us who go and interview them. When you see the kids, I mean, or playing soccer without, I mean, soccer boot in the ground there, those are the stories that, I mean, we are focusing much on it. So it assists us, I mean, to be in line with what we want to achieve, I mean, in the coming future. Next slide. This slide, I mean, talk about, I mean, our profiles. I mean, as I said in the beginning, when it's come to race, I mean, it's 100%, I mean, black. Was come to language, I mean, it's 100% stronger, and then also the age, difference age there, I mean, 00 to 019, 20 to 24, 25 to 29, and then the LSM, I mean, so in fact, all in all, I mean, we're targeting almost everybody who can read or write stronger because the newspaper, I mean, it's also used, I mean, in schools, I mean, including, I mean, the primary, also the gender there. I mean, most of our readers, I mean, who already, I mean, the hard copy, 55%. I mean, it's a female, and then 45%. I mean, it's a male. Next slide. Yeah, this is our distributing, I mean, areas. I mean, you will recall back then, I mean, Uncle Verwoerd during back in the apartheid time, they took Tsongas and put it one side, and then they took PDs, they put it one side, and then the vendors, I mean, they took to other side. But we know, more especially that side of Malamlele and Elim, I mean, we used to be mixed, I mean, between Matsonga and Mavenda, but I mean, the apartheid, I mean, they separated us. So I'm benefiting out of that system he created. So I'm using the system that they've created. But also in Gauteng, I can say that, I mean, in confidence, 'cause, I mean, almost every school in Gauteng that is teaching Xitsonga. I'm a Father Christmas to them. I'm donating, I mean, newspapers to them. Although each that are not getting a lot, probably it's five or 10. But I mean, I'm donating newspapers to them. I mean, out of my pocket, and my willingness to develop. I mean, the language. I think. Next slide. The fact that one, it's a community media, or one is in publishing in Xitsonga, it does not mean I must like sit alone in the corner. I mean, the partnership, I mean, getting out to the world and know what is happening there. I mean, it's very important. I mean, also not to find ourselves, I mean, in the wrong side, I mean, of the press code. I think it's perfect radio who mentioned the issue you can get defined this and this and this. Yes, it's true. If you put one-sided story or if you put something which is not in the press code, I mean, you will held, I mean, accountable. And some, I mean, when they take you to court, I mean, they want the money that, I mean, you don't have. In fact, you'll hear to it that, I mean, there's this such of amount when they take you to court when they sue you, but because we want to build a brand that is respectable, that I mean everybody can be proud of I mean looking at it and seeing it. Okay, this is a Tabela newspaper. At least I can trust. I mean the news, whether I get it from the Facebook, the website, the newspaper. But at least I mean I'm 100% sure this news, I mean, is correct and true. Next slide. Yeah, I mean, our engagement, I mean, we make sure that, I mean, Facebook, I mean, is there, newspaper is there, a website, and also we use, I mean, those tools to understand, I mean, our readers, I mean, the numbers of the people who are following us, people who are engaging us, people who are like, I mean, giving us a tip, oh, there's this thing that has happened. I mean, this side, please. I mean, send. I mean, someone to come and cover it. So, social media. I mean, it's helping us. It's assisting us. I mean, a lot when it's come to that area. Ne? Next slide. Revenue model. I mean, most of our revenue. I mean, I can say 80% to 90% it come from print advertising. We are still trying to build. I mean the donor project. I mean the co-hosting of the event and also the partnership. I mean we'll touch. I mean the partnership. I mean along the way. Next slide. Yeah, I mean, one of the partnership that we had with Sadila is they've taken, I mean, our content. I mean, we started to publish in December 2008. So from December 2008 up until December 2025. We have taken all the content we have put together and then we created something that's called, I mean, Voyante. I don't know whether you can open that link or we'll see when time is allow us. I mean, you can open the link so that you can see how this program, I mean, it is going to operate, but it's purely purposes for the research purposes, for students who are doing Xitsonga, is for quite a number of things. And also, we are trying to train the machine. It will be good, I mean, in a long run. I mean, those people who are using iPhone, I mean, you've got Siri, you can ask Siri, ke la bokae today? Siri can able to answer you ka speed. Gore ke la bone or ka Xitsonga, gore Siri, namhla wa umun. Or when you are using the navigation, I mean, you nga kota we have to train the machine ku byela ku ri okay jikela ximatsini ka xitarata lexi landzelaka jikela kwihi ka xitarata lexi landzelaka. So it's all because of we have to make sure that, I mean, when we do our content, it must be content that is thinking them for the future. It's the content that, I mean, it's not for now. Okay, I'm against. I must get. I mean, viewers. I must get clicks. It must be something that, I mean, whatever institution, when they take a look at it, I mean, for more special for this one, they didn't come, okay, we're looking for something for stronger. They first scrutinize it, I mean, the context. Is this thing with it now? Can we use it now? Thank you. Next slide. Yeah, I think I'm trying to go words by words. I mean, advantages and challenges of moving, I mean, travel newspaper to online. I mean, we all know now, I mean, the media landscape, I mean, it's changing, I mean, dramatically in South Africa. And I know all of us, or most of us in this call, I mean, we are in a communication or media space. Last year, Competition Commission, they were investigating the market inquiries. I mean, first between Google, Meta, TikTok, Twitter, how they are taking our contact. Remember, Google doesn't have journalists. There's no journalist that say, now I'm working for Google, I'm going around and writing story for Google, and Google they pay it. They are taking this contact and then use it for whatever purposes that they're using. And there's a section on their final report, although I'm not going to dwell on that report because I mean it'll be challenging code, but there's some section there where it's deal I mean with indigenous language and the media tech. I mean, one thing that is bothering me there, they didn't come clearly for how those media tech must compensate the community media or the media that are publishing in indigenous languages. They've left this thing to between us and the big tech. And the big tech, I mean, they're taking advantages of they're taking advantage of us. I mean, I can give I mean a practical example. I mean, per word, they were looking for a 5 cent. I mean, for per word. I mean, for this thing. And when you look at it, some of words in indigenous language, I mean, they're very scarce. I mean, like for now, I mean, we don't have, I mean, a publication. I mean, in Sevenda. We don't have, I mean, it's a SWAT publication. How are we going to develop, I mean, the AR? I mean, without, I mean, those, I mean, content, without, I mean, those words. So, yeah, I mean, advantage of moving online is lower printing and distribution cost, wide the audience reach, faster news publishing, more advertising opportunities, better readers engagement, multimedia content, including video, podcast, and galleries. But for me or for Siponi to have this thing, I mean, we must have, I mean, finance. I mean, for proper laptop. I'm talking about the Mac. If you want to able to do all these things for the smartphone, that you must have, probably must have. I mean, two good smartphone. That's going to cost you. I mean, we're talking about the quality smartphone. I mean, 21 grand to 25 grand. I mean, if you want to properly build, I mean, powerful and strong, I mean, online, you must have, I mean, the online manager, person who's going to wake up in the morning and go and sit down, whether it's going to the office or it's working at his home, but his job is only to deal with the online or the digital space of Siponi newspaper or Tabela newspaper, of which, I mean, we don't have such kind of I mean, amount. The challenges, I mean, the challenges, it's almost the same that, I mean, the previous speakers, I mean, talk about it. I mean, the perfect read and that is supposed. But I mean, for me, or for Tabel or for community print, I think, not I think, print and digital platform. I mean, we should, I mean, work together. There's no way you could, okay, I'm going to abandon print because of a digital space. When I mean, this competition thing was going on last year, I decided to just to attend one. I mean, I think it was Arena, the one that's publishing almost Sowetan. They were saying to the commissioners there, look, we've got, I mean, millions and millions of followers, I mean, on our social media. But at the end of the month, the money that they're making, it does not even come closer to the amount that I mean they're getting to the amount that they're getting when they'll get, I mean, one full page, you know. So which means I think some of this thing is beyond us, because it's need, I mean, government to come in, go, okay, you Google, I mean, the way the amount that, I mean, people, or the amount that, I mean, this particular media house or whatever that I must get when they visit, I mean, the website. I mean, it should be this thing. It must be regulated, because we know. I mean, most of the advertising, I mean, it's going to them. But I mean, when they come to the payment, or how much, I mean, this publication must get, I mean, is them that just determine, or let's say for each 10 rand, I mean, that taking, I mean, 9 rand 50, and they give you, I mean, 50 cent. And remember, there's a lot of work that they have to be done. I mean, we're talking about the proper journalism, not this one of getting story from the website of whatever department of you need. They release a statement, you take it, you put it to the website, you put it, boost it. No, no, no. We're talking about going and see, I mean, someone who have opened a smaller and a shop, someone who's doing something there, write the story, traveling, this and this and this and this. It's costing. And think next slide. This is, I mean, sometimes I get shocked. I mean, when I check to the dashboard and look, oh, how many people, I mean, are visiting, I mean, our Facebook. I mean, 25th, I think it was Monday and Tuesday, when we start to prepare this thing. From 28th March to 25th May, there's 1.2 million viewers, I mean, on Tabel. And then when it's come to engagement, people have liked, people have commented on whatever that they've put. We've got 70 million, and which is, I mean, it's very encouraging to see people. But people, they do love their languages. I mean, the thing that people are saying, and I don't know where did they get that research. Because no, people that don't like, I mean, speaking their own languages, the people that don't like to do this and this language, they prefer, I mean, English better than Shitsong. I mean, here's the numbers. I mean, yes, I mean, it may not be that, I mean, 4, 5, 6 million, but at least this is a convincing number to present the case. I mean, it cannot be. I don't know what's happened to this. We're supposed to be the slide of a breakdown of website, but per story, if we put a story today, I mean, within let's say 2 days, I mean, the story has got something like almost 400 viewers. For me, I mean, it's a good number. I mean, compared to what, I mean, people are saying outside there when it's come to the indigenous languages. I think next slide. No, no, yeah. I think this is the end of the presentation. But as I said, I mean, at the beginning, I will add some of the things that, I mean, I'm doing. Remember, I'm the chairperson of community media at SANEF. Well, I want to thank Prof. Lizal. I think you forget to mention it here. We've got something called, I mean, Indigenous Language and Media Seminar with partnering with Pensal, but SANEF. I mean, it's my brainchild. I mean, we started in the 2, 3 years back, where we call the academics, the media practitioner, everybody just to sit under one roof and deal with the issue of indigenous language and media. What's need to be done? I mean, Dr. Dipita have mentioned that, I mean, Northwest University, they started training of journalists in indigenous language. It's because of the outcome of that particular seminar that we're having. Last year, we were here in Limpopo, Dr. Baloyi at the university, at UL. This year, we are going to Fourth University, East London campus, because we're also trying to encourage, the students who are doing media study, look, guys, this indigenous language media. But again, I think this thing is for you academics to put the element of business business media in those courses, because at least when they complete their studies, they must able to go and start something, not waiting for them to be employed, because the unemployment rate South Africa, it's very huge. The numbers that they're giving us, for me, I don't believe it's a true reflection. It's much more higher than
Mr. Ntwanisi,
yes.
may you please wrap up so that we can go on with the program? Thank you.
But no. Thanks very much. Because we've got, I've got, the partnership with SASTA in Pretoria, where every year they're giving us, in turn, fresh from the university, to train them to write, a science story in indigenous languages. One important thing that we've done, in trying to assist the community media moving to digital media. At SNF, we spend 1.5 M to just, and this 1.5 M, it's not enough. I think it was for 10 publishers, and this amount, it could be for, if it's not one, two publishers, publication. If we would truly need to make sure this community media, they're in a digital space, professionally, nicely, because one person, a media, social media person to sit there, probably, not probably, they need more than 25K a month, which, we can't afford, at the moment. So I think such kind of meeting is very important to discuss and try to come with a solution, how best we can assist Siboni, how best we can assist Tabela, because of course we need those Siri, those Siri in Sepedi, in Xitsonga, in Sevenda, on all these languages. And if we don't do it ourselves, I don't think there's anyone who can come. Okay, I saw the business opportunity. I want, all the navigation to be in Xitsonga, to be in Sepedi or Siswati. It's us, and in fact, it's you academics who must lead, this progress now. Thanks very much, for this, opportunity to come and speak about this thing. Hopefully next time we're going to have enough time to ventilate, this topic. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ntwanisi. Guaranteed next time we will have enough time, because I see that you have a mouthful. A lovely presentation, and thank you for giving us the insight. From what I'm capturing is that Titumelani Ntavela operates on the ground, in touch with the community, by reflecting real life stories. And that is what community media is about, reflecting and representing the elite and reinforcing their existence even in the midst of high digital infiltration. Your presentation has also challenged us not to shy away from striving to create a representation in technological revolution. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to call upon Ms. Swazi Shabalala, who will introduce our last speaker for the day. Ms. Shabalala is an adjunct academic in public relations, and yes, she will introduce our next speaker. Ms. Shabalala, you may lead us through.
Good afternoon, colleagues. Can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yes,
can.
we can hear you.
Okay. All right. Thank you, program directors and Sanbonan Nonke colleagues. I hope you're all keeping well. Today I have the honor and privilege, Yoguntulela, one of the finest academics within our Department of Communication Science. And without further ado, I will go to introduce him by reading his bio. Simpiwe Rance is an associate professor in the Department of Communication Science at UNISA. He obtained a PhD in Media Studies from Wits University in 2021. His doctoral thesis contributes to African cultural studies and feminist media studies by offering a critical reading of representations of gender, sexuality, and ideas of Africanness in the visual culture of the popular Afrobeats musical genre. Simpiwe's research interest cuts across cultural studies, popular culture in the global south, gender and feminist media studies, consumer culture, mediated philanthropy and humanitarianism, self-help and advisory media discourses, and critical audience studies. Oh, that was a mouthful. Prior to his move into academia, Simpiwe worked in broadcasting as a radio presenter and content producer. He has also served as a freelance writer for the Mail and Guardian's Top 200 Young South African supplement and was previously employed as a PR assistant at a global creative agency. The last 3 years prior to his shift into academia, Rance spent time working as a consumer audience insights analyst at a global media and advertising agency, compiling and analyzing consumer behavior data and insights for digital and traditional advertising purposes. So this afternoon, colleagues, Professor Rance will speak on monetization of the community media entities with a particular focus on digital solutions. Colleagues, please show some love with all the lovely emojis as you help me welcome Prof. Rance to the mic.
Because I'm muted. Thank you very much. It's very strange to hear one's bio verbalized in those ways, but thank you so much, colleagues. I'm really appreciative of the opportunity, and I will really try to keep it short because I'm aware of the time constraints that we have. I do have about 6 slides, and I'm literally just going to fly through most of these slides, colleagues, and then perhaps open the floor for questions. Let's see if people's minds are still mentally in a place to ask questions and so forth. So I'm going to switch off my camera now and jump straight into my presentation. So I was tasked to speak briefly on the theme of monetization of community media entities. So I want in today's session to just give some brief notes on potential digital solutions in this regard. And I think we need to start with something important here before we can even think about monetization of, in this instance, community media entities, or of course, financial sustainability of these entities. We then have to grapple with the reality of audiences, right? Who obviously become our revenue sources along this chain, this value chain that we have as community media entities. The reality that a lot of community media entities are operating within right now is that media content consumption patterns have evolved. So consumers and users and their preferences for media content consumption are increasingly digit-driven right now. So a lot of consumers and users actually have interesting and non-uniform media content consumption patterns, which then means as community media entities in this instance and the conversation that we're having today, we have to then find strategic ways to firstly follow those audience segments online and then try find a way to align ourselves and our brand offerings to these patterns and preferences that these consumers or users have developed themselves as well. So this evolution when it comes to media consumption and the fact that it's very digit-driven right now has in many ways impacted media content producers and their access to genuine brand loyal audiences. And of course, in extension, this is in many ways stifling access to sustainable advertising revenue because you don't have a consistent brand loyal and sustainable audience that you could convert or sell to advertisers. What these tensions have done is that they have variously affected the financial sustainability of, in this instance, for this conversation today, of the community media entities and how they operate within the spaces that they operate within. The problem here, colleagues, is quite obvious, right? And it's clear that a lack of financial sustainability for, in this instance, indigenous language-driven community-based media entities, and the crucial roles that they play, as many of our speakers today have highlighted those crucial roles that these media entities play. A lack of financial sustainability may result in said community media entities drowning in the clutter of online media content. We all do know how the online digisphere is cluttered. Every second day, there's a new podcast coming out. Every second day, there's a new news entity launching. Every second day, there's someone launching some sort of online space, right? To try and get audience engagements and to try and monetize that audience engagement. So there's so much clutter online. And if community media entities lack in their financial sustainability, then it may result in them drowning within that clutter because they can't afford to buy visibility through, for instance, strategic search engine optimization efforts, right? Because then they can't afford that because they don't have the resources. And this may then lead to irrelevance of the brand or the media entity, which then may, in many cases, force closure. And that's such a big loss. And the biggest losers in this instance will then be the communities who significantly rely on these community media entities for developmental edutainment and infotainment content. Things like indigenous language literacy, content, health education content, content around oral histories that sustain the sense of cultural pride, as one of the esteemed professors, Professor Letswalo, has indicated, things like women's empowerment and other efforts as well. So those are the people who would lose the biggest. Next slide, please. With this in mind, then, colleagues, it's crucial that community media entities understand and also accept this reality within which they operate currently, because there's just no avoiding that significant audience segments have moved online. So like I said, we have to strategically follow these media audience segments online and find ways to relate to them and to communicate with them and interact with these audience segments so that we can build sustainable online communities. Community media entities can then intently carry out strategic efforts to render themselves competitive in the constant struggle among brands or media owners to organically cultivate online audiences, which can then be converted into revenue from advertisers, because I think it's quite clear that financial sustainability for the community media entity to continue, quote unquote, doing the Lord's work, like a lot of us are saying online. Financial sustainability is important for these community media entities to continue doing the Lord's work of, like I said earlier, developmental edutainment and infotainment content. I just want to go through very briefly, some useful tips to organically cultivate online audiences. And I can tell you now, colleagues, a lot of this information is not new. It's nothing, we're not reinventing the wheel. I'm just trying to highlight some ways in which community media entities could cultivate and leverage from what they already have and just, align themselves with what's happening digitally or in the online environment, and then leverage from there to try and cultivate revenue. I'm going to touch on 3 aspects of how we could perhaps organically cultivate online audiences as community media entities. Firstly, to develop a distinct, recognized online brand identity or voice could be one of the ways one could cultivate an online audience. Then the main goal here is to craft and sustain a relatable brand personality that you could use across your own media channels or platforms. Your own media channels are, of course, your social media platforms or communities, your website, a mobile app, if you perhaps have a mobile app. These are the assets that you own as an entity, right? So the goal here is to craft and sustain a relatable brand personality that you will be using strategically across these owned media channels that you'll have. Because one thing is with online audiences is that a lot of us are drawn to brands that feel recognizable and human in many ways, right? For instance, a brand could adopt the personality of the wise older family member, right? In how they engage with their audiences online in terms of how they craft their Facebook responses, how they craft their YouTube responses in the chat area there, how they craft their tweets and so forth. They might craft this personality of the wise older family member, right? Who always knows what to do, always has a solution, right? Can always guide us in particular ways. Or you could be adopting the vibey, engaging friend who's just very curious, always wants to try new things, right? That's a personality trope that you could adopt in terms of your online voice as an entity. You could also adopt the informative and trustworthy opinion leader, right? This is almost a know-it-all person who's always informative, but always trustworthy in terms of what is shared. So you can always know that I will not be getting fake news from this person. So those are examples of the kinds of online brand personalities you could adopt, and you should be consistently using that personality across your own media channels to help cultivate online audiences that trust you, that will stick around with you. In this ways, we'll have authentic engagement with your brand or with your entity and whatever your entity offers to your audiences. Because one thing about audiences, we really easily detect overly corporate language or insincere messaging and engagement, and that really turns a lot of us off, and then we unfollow, we no longer share whatever the brand does, and that'll be a big loss for the brand. How am I doing on time so I know where to cut? Just open the mic and just let me know. Thank you very much. Secondly, another way to cultivate an online audience in a more organic fashion, right, online, is to consistently developing and sharing valuable and engaging multimodal and multimedia content without losing your brand identity. Because it's important to realize that you cannot be everything to everyone, but you can be one or two strong and great and wholesome things to a few loyal people. So then the main goal here is to craft a valuable multimodal content that you can use again across your own media channels and platforms, because online audiences do have a tendency of significantly following brands that do some or sometimes all of the following things. Brands that consistently help through problem-solving content, brands that entertain through relatable content that makes them feel represented and seen, brands that educate through informative content that exposes people to new knowledge so that they can take that knowledge to the spaces they operate within. Then they can sound smart. They can appear informed, right? They can appear to be in the know as well. So then it's important then for us to, instead of constantly selling, for us as community media entities to then focus on solving problems, providing meaningful insights that are relevant to their target audience, thus cultivating communities of followers who genuinely resonate with the brand, or in this case, with the community media entity, which means they will stick around through thick and thin. Lastly, then, it's crucial and it's very helpful to try and build and sustain genuine community engagement if one really wants to cultivate an online audience that is loyal and that will stick around. When brands actively and sincerely interact with people online, it increases the potential for organic online audience growth. As such, instead of treating social media as this one-way broadcast channel where we consistently inundate people and bombard them with hard sales of selling brands or selling products or services all the time, but not allowing them feedback to what we are posting to them, that can be problematic. So we need to treat our social media channels as two-way engagement channels that encourage audiences and their voices to be heard, make audiences feel like their perspectives, their opinions are respected, and there's space for them, and you're holding space for them to share their perspectives openly in respectful ways, right? because people are more likely to follow and engage with and recommend brands or community media entities that make them feel seen and included. Organic and consistent community engagement on owned media channels improves platform visibility because of how social media algorithms reward interactions. I think a lot of us do have a sense of how social media algorithms partly operate, in that sense of the more interactive your channel is, the more the platform is rewarded with algorithmic benefits, such as, for instance, being consistently recommended to social media users who do not already follow your brand or your page or what have you. So then once a solid and a loyal and interactive online audience base has been cultivated, then community media entities can engage in strategic efforts that will help them to monetize said audiences, which will then aid with the financial sustainability of the community media entity. So then lastly, in this last slide, I'm just going to run through these 4 brief ways among the many, many other ways one could then monetize one's online audience base. And this can now happen once you've spent enough time, had enough strategy done, and put in a lot of corporate effort, a lot of intellectual effort in cultivating your online audience to a point where you have a loyal audience base that can be converted and sold to advertisers. 4 brief ways on how you can then monetize these online audiences that you've cultivated through blood and sweat and tears over time. And over time can be 3 years for one entity, but could be 5 years for another entity, but could in rare cases be 1 year for another entity. So there's no clear-cut way when it comes to cultivating a strong, loyal audience base. So patience is also a virtue in this regard. But firstly, you can then engage in the monetization of your audience base once you've built it and cultivated it through strategic affiliations with advertisers. This then involves co-promoting or co-selling of products or brand offers, again, without losing your own brand identity or your own value proposition. If your brand has a particular value proposition, you cannot. It's not problematic, but it could be dangerous to your brand if you affiliate with advertisers that sell a product that goes against the values of much of your audience, your core audience base. So be very strategic in terms of who you pitch to or which offers you accept from advertisers, right? In this sense, through these strategic affiliations, you can then earn revenue after delivering on clear returns on investments. So there should be clear ROIs that you and the brand come up with, and then you can earn afterwards once you have reached those clear ROIs. One of them could be conversion of audiences into buyers. Then you earn a share in the profit. So for every particular number of people you've converted into buying the product, you can then earn a particular share of the profit from the brand. That's one way of going about it. There's also the sponsorships route that you could take. This is where you earn profit by selling your own media channels as a traffic source for brands to reach significant audience segments, which is why here it's very important that you know your core audience, your core online audience profile, and then you can sell their eyeballs and their attention to advertisers, knowing exactly what that audience profile is, so that when you do sell their eyeballs and their attention to advertisers, you know exactly what type of buyer this is, and these people's positionalities in terms of class, race, gender, and so forth, right? So that the brand knows how to reach these people effectively to convert them into buyers of whatever the brands are selling that you are partnering with. It's very important here also that if you do get into such sponsorship-based partnerships with brands, that you use strategic whitelisting efforts. With whitelisting efforts, this basically means using non-intrusive, very well-timed advertising efforts that do not distract your audience from your own brand goals or for what they came to your platform for in the first place. You don't want to over-inundate them with advertising messages. So you want to do some strategic whitelisting where you are very, very strategic about when, how
Sorry,
you
Prof,
advertise.
to interrupt you. You have 2 minutes left before we move on
Fantastic.
to the next section.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so then whitelisting will help you to not turn off your audience by overly posting advertorial kinds of content and pushing brands through hard sell efforts. You could also have, in 1 minute, you can also have partnerships that go more long term. This is where you can cultivate business deals with existing brands to earn shares or a stake in the equities of these companies. So here you can sell high performance audience conversions across your owned media channels to these advertisers by making beneficial long-term deals. For instance, you could say for every 1,000 conversions, I earn 1% share in the business, or I earn a portion of equity in your business. And then this continues for more long-term basis. You could lastly also start your own brand then as a community media entity then. You could engage in various white labeling efforts. This is where you collaborate with already existing entities in the branding environment, in the branding sphere, right? You could have a local t-shirt printer in your community, a local label printer, people that do bespoke gift printing and so forth, right? People that exist in the communities within which you operate as a community media entity. Then you could engage in some white labeling efforts. This is where you basically stick your brand onto what these people already produce. So if it's water bottles, you just stick your brand onto those water bottles, t-shirts, or whatever the case may be. Then you can sell those assets, brand assets, for revenue. This is where you have merchandise that you can sell through non-custom templates. Non-custom templates means you didn't come up with a template, you just stuck your brand onto an existing template because you partnered strategically with other people that work in the branding sphere. But this way, you could also then make revenue through merchandise development and selling. I think I'll end it there. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Prof. Rains, for such an engaging presentation. Thank you for the tips and for consolidating much of what has been discussed today. Indeed, audiences make up a huge part of our ecosystem, and community media organizations have to be mindful of this and the attention economy, and also having to adjust their monetization model to captivate this audience and also ensure that they create brand loyalty, which they can benefit from, and ensure that they remain sustainable, because it would be a great loss, as you said, if such entities were to go, because they do leave a gap in the collective archive. So thank you so much for that. Colleagues, thank you for staying with us, and also to all the speakers for their presentations. We will now hand over to Ms. Kulani Mashele, who is the adjunct academic in media studies, who will be guiding us through the question and answer period of our program. Ms. Mashele, please do us the honor of leading us.
Inhlakani, I hope everyone still has some energy after this insightful and thought-provoking presentations. Can we please raise our hands for questions? I'm already seeing hands going up. Unfortunately, due to time, we have a very short time for questions. So I will only take 5 questions, but I'll encourage those whom I don't get to write their questions on the chat, and the presenters will get back to them. I'm already seeing hands going up, so I will take the first hand, who is, I'm seeing Dineo. You can go ahead. Please keep your questions short, precisely. Let's tweet. Thank you. I'll start with Dineo, followed by Solomon, and then there's Lusan. Okay, the hand is gone. Is it gone? Okay, it's coming back, Lusane. And then, okay, those are the three hands that I'm seeing. Dineo, you can go ahead.
All right. Thank you very much, colleagues. Thank you very much to our presenters with their thought-provoking and very interesting presentation. And my question is directed to Dr. Baloyi. He mentioned that in his study, a very interesting point that government and government entities do support the establishment of community medias. And on the other hand, you have government, the other arm of government in the form of municipalities, who to a certain extent, Mr. Malloy indicated in his presentation that they to a certain extent deliberately sabotage the sustainability through denying the sustainability of these media houses through denying them advertising, funding in a form of advertisement, simply because perhaps they report bad things happening in those municipalities. Now, the challenge and the question is that as journalists and professionals in the community radio, for instance, do we compromise our journalistic principle of reporting accurately and exposing corruption if it's there for the sake of accommodating those adverts from the municipality? Where do we strike the balance? Do we expose corruption at the expense of advertisements which will help with sustainability, or we report truthfully, knowing very well that they will withhold those advertisements that will affect our sustainability in the short and long run? That's my question to Mr. Malloy. And just a quick one is a comment to Mr. Raymond, to say indeed your initiative of perfect radio is broadcasting for God. You are doing a really good job, and even when it comes to accommodating interns, media studies interns and communication, is a very commendable job, and we say we are really proud and continue doing the good job, my good sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Solomon.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Kulani, and thank you so much to the distinguished guests and program directors. My questions, I think it will be short. Number one, I would like to, add on what Dineo has already alluded, directed to Dr. Baloyi. Dr. Baloyi mentioned something very profound regarding the literature regarding, economic sustainability challenges that these media, community media are facing. And of course, I can prove that. I've also written an article based on the impact of media convergence on the sustainability of community radio stations in Limpopo. Some of the findings highlighted such. Now, the question that I have is, I want to understand how do we then, how do we then differentiate or draw a line between a community media that is rooted on objectivity reporting, kind of journalism that we are all taught about, and a PR project? I'm asking this because I am a witness of such, conducts wherein.
There was someone that spoke about.
Sorry.
Colleagues, can you please mute?
Okay, yeah. I'm asking that based on evidence, because it seems like, in as much as we want to preserve the language in the community, level, there is a case wherein our community, audience are not, trusting this media organization based on the so-called, a project, PR project, and a news that is based on objectivity. That is what I wanted to anchor, on what Dineo has said, that how do we draw the line in terms of a PR project and a news that is based on objectivity. Number two is directed to Mr. Dunisani. Mr. Dunisani plays a very fundamental role in in SANEF in terms of community media. I'm glad I was part of him. I worked for his newspaper back then through NRF and CETA. So my question is, because I realized that even in the media, mainstream media, languages are not taken seriously. I've spoken to him once about this in terms of awards. You find that these professionals that are trying to keep preserving the language, when it comes to awards being recognized, you find that when you send stories without being translated into English, you find that people who are judging those particular stories, they can't even recognize the those type of stories, the strongest elements in that stories because of the language. So how do we then improve? How do we then preserve this language if we ourselves do not even have people who are able to become judges of this particular pieces that we are writing in our languages? Because I feel like if it is being denied in the national level, it demotivates the professionals, because the professionals that we want them to be part of our community radio stations is the people that we are hiring as interns. And after training them, what do they go? They go to the mainstream media. We end up it's a clock. It keeps going and going and going. We train them and they leave us, and at the end of the day we end up using insufficient people, we're using inexperienced people because we are unable to preserve the language in that regard. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Dr. Lusane?
Thank you very much, Program Director. I must say, as I was sitting here listening to the presentations, I thought this is one of the best webinars I've attended in a long time. Two things crossed my mind as I was listening to the presentations. One of the things that we talk about in the department is the coloniality. And another thing that is also being talked, it came through across all the presentations, is the role of languages in community media. And I'm asking myself, shouldn't we as a department have some form of partnership with our sister department of African languages or linguistics? Maybe to find a way of having programs that will provide training that will help the community media that we've been listening to here. Because I think there is space here for us to have a project of some sort that ties these two departments in the process of assisting community media. The second thing that I thought I should raise is it will be a sad day if we sit here next year and we said, all we can say is we had good presentations, good seminars. Is it not possible maybe as a department again to consider partnerships with the community media presented here and more that are not here, in a way of providing research that helps them to be sustainable, training that helps them to be sustainable, maybe even have short learning programs that address issues in the community media space. And I think this becomes critical because our students as well in these partnerships or collaborations will have an opportunity countrywide to have practical hands-on experience in this community media. So we kill so many birds with one stone. We help give capacity to the community media. Our students gain in terms of gaining practical experience that will come in handy as they get into the market space. And I'm also listening here and I'm throwing it out as well. We have UNISA Radio. Is it not possible to explore partnerships with the community media that we have been talking about here? That way we are able to pool resources such that even though community media might not be able to attract advertisers, as we know, but pooling the resources that are at our disposal, your UNISA Radio, the experts that we have in the department to help provide training and support and research that will be able to provide the much needed capacity. I'm just throwing this here as a way of saying maybe going forward, we should consider formalizing partnerships with the community media station. It will benefit us, it will benefit them, it will benefit our students, it will benefit the university as a whole in terms of pursuing the decoloniality project that we talk about a lot in the department and university-wide. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. I have one question as well that's on the chat from Professor Rowe. It says, amazing presentations from everyone, many invaluable real life experiences across the ecosystem of community media. My question is regarding audience metrics data. Which systems are being used to gather and report this data, as it is the foundation to motivate funding, advertising, and sponsorship? Also, for keeping up with users' preferences. I will hand over to the presenters. I don't know who'd like to go first. Maybe let's start with Mr. Baloyi because there was more questions directed to him. Yes, you can go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you very much, colleagues, for the questions. And let me start with the one which speaks of government officials deliberately avoiding supporting community newspapers that exposes corruption and government failures. And how should we deal with this? Normally, when government officials deliberately avoid supporting community newspapers because those newspapers expose corruption and government failures, the issue moves beyond funding and enters the broader terrain of media independence, political influence, and democratic accountability. Newspapers should therefore develop strategies that protect, editorial independence while strengthening sustainability through diversified stakeholder engagement. And some of these strategies might include, to diversify funding sources. They should avoid over-dependence on government advertising or municipal support. Reliance on a single stakeholder increases vulnerability to political pressure. And why is it so important? Diversified funding protects editorial independence and allows newspapers to continue reporting critically without fear of financial punishment. And also, strengthen community ownership and trust. Newspapers that is strongly supported by its community becomes harder to silence politically, and some of the approaches could create community advisory boards, hold public forums and dialogues, encourage citizen journalism, and publish community success stories alongside investigative reporting. When readers see the newspaper as their voice, they are more likely to defend and financially support it. So this will also, contribute to what I said earlier on, instead of relying, this over-reliance of public funding is quite dangerous. It can threaten the editorial independence. And also to maintain strong ethical and professional journalism, Officials often justify hostility towards community newspapers by accusing them of bias, unprofessionalism, and so forth. But strong journalistic ethics reduces opportunities of such attacks. So journalists must also try by all means to ensure that before they publish such stories, they check all stories carefully, use credible sources and evidence, offer right to reply to accused officials, separate news from opinions, and follow media ethics codes. And this is journalism 101, which need to be strengthened in that regard. And also to build alliance with civic societies, and media organizations, partnerships with press freedom organizations, institutions of learning and other media institutions can provide protection and visibility. Media advocacy group, human rights organizations, and journalism schools to try, because once you have this collective support, it reduces political isolation and increases public accountability pressure. And yeah, so these are some of the things which I do believe that can be addressed. But I am glad that Dr. Upape is also here and Mr. Nsamusida are here. So maybe they can also share with us, some of these strategies, because they're the ones who experience this hostility from government officials and departments who sometimes, make it so hard for them to access these fundings. Now, with regard to the line between community media, which is rooted in objectivity and PR projects, this lies mainly, in editorial independence and public accountability. Community media exists to inform, educate, and represent the interests of the community through balanced, critical, and evidence-based reporting. Now, when such reporting exposes failure by sponsors or government officials, so they have to ensure that they stick to, basic, editorial and ethical reporting. Now, on the other hand, PR projects primarily seeks to promote and protect the images of an organization, institutions, and so forth. And also, sometimes they avoid criticism and prioritize interests of the funders over the public interest. Now, while community media may engage stakeholders for funding and sustainability, ethical journalism requires that such partnerships do not influence editorial decisions, should not compromise fairness or silence critical reporting. Thank you very much, and maybe other colleagues can also add. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Nzangwisi, would you like to come in?
Yeah, no. Thanks very much. I mean, for this opportunity once again. Yeah, or maybe before I start to answer that one, Solomon, I will appreciate if, I mean, in the long run, it can still come somehow and contribute to to the community media. Yeah, I think the issue of the award. Remember, there was no those categories. Everything, I mean, it was English. I think so. Someone have mentioned the issue of budget. I mean, and I've raised that thing. But I mean, it does not make a sense. I cannot write, I mean, a story in Xitsonga, and then because we don't have judges, of course. Remember, they were supposed to have the 12 judges. I mean, those who speak, I mean, all these languages. But you find that mostly there are 3, 4 Sizulu, Xhosa, and then those other languages. I mean, I'm agree with you. I mean, the South along the way. I mean, translating those stories, it loses. I mean, it's contact. I mean, somehow, but it's a battle that we're soldiering on. But at least let's just appreciate for now. Or they've agreed, okay, we must have these categories, and Sukovele Standard Bank, we must have those categories at Negnatas Award. But the one that, I mean, they're doing well, I don't know, Prof. At Pensal, because you last have this award in 2022, 2023 there. If my memory serves me well, I was one of the I mean, adjudicators there. It was easy for us there because, I mean, we've agreed. Remember, there was one who was dealing with media, there was one who was dealing with this, but most of us there were the linguistic people. So if there's something here for me in Tivenda and I don't know Tivenda, I just go to another within the adjudicators. Please, I mean, can assist us. I mean, looking at this story, we look at the format. Please check this and this and this. Check the language, this and this, and I'm happy. I mean, quite number of community media they've won. I mean, that time I remember someone from TEF, is it TEF Community Radio TEF, someone from Free State Community Radio Free State. They won because, I mean, we didn't translate. We just get someone who knows, I mean, Setswana, could clean Setswana, would listen to that 10 minutes, I mean, a program, and the language, find that 10 minutes, there's no mix of English, and some of them found even the song, they didn't play any English song. It's only, I mean, indigenous language song. So yeah, it's a fight. I mean, it needs the budget. We must not lose hope. I mean, we are going to it. At least there's a progress, and maybe that thing. And then the issue of advertising and government. I think this thing we've dealt with it. I mean, we've tried to jungle it. I mean, in so many, I mean, platform that, I mean, we need to balance it. I mean, at some stage, 2023 or 2020 or 2020, somewhere there, I received a call that, I mean, one of the journalists in Northwest had been made that, I mean, read community media, and then, okay, I was using a public transport, and then they took his laptop, they took his memory card in a camera. They didn't take the camera, they just took a memory card. And then when we're busy trying to talk, and then we ask ourselves, what story this guy was working on it? And only found that, I mean, he was investigating some shenanigans in the particular municipality there, this and this. Although the case, in fact, the case is still on now. I mean, it's almost 5 years and 6 years. So this thing as a media practitioners, journalists, we should try to find a way to balance it. Because remember, Tate DP, it does not have that, I mean, myself, like, let's say, Dial Maverick, Google, okay, he can investigate these stories, he can do this, all this thing. We do get the tips, hey, Chief, there's something that is happening in this municipality. I mean, for me, I mean, it's a lot. I mean, it's a lot that I'm receiving. There's this thing that is happening, this and this and this. Please, I mean, do something. But I mean, one, you have to balance this. You have to look at this thing. How best, I mean, we can deal with these issues as an individual, because we cannot say, okay, do this and this and this and this and this, but it must also align with a principle. What do you believe on it? But most of us, I mean, who were like, I mean, principle, I mean, there was some stage, I mean, more especially in Polokwane, you will agree with me, Dr. DPT. There were so many community newspapers, I mean, Solomon. Most of them, they were doing that, we were saying, I mean, the PR, go and collect Department of
Mr.
Agriculture,
Zalisi,
take this.
can you please wrap up? We are chasing time. Sorry to cut you short, but can you, in a minute, just wrap up? Thank you, so that we can give the fellow presenters time as well.
All right, no. Thanks very much. But I think I've done with that part of Solomon Yes, I mean, it's an ongoing work. I mean, we'll try to push to make that thing, and then the issue of PR and this thing. As I was saying, most of those who are doing that thing, I mean, they're no longer, I mean, existence. Yes, I mean, we're schools. I mean, I'm one of those, I mean, publication who not getting advertising from certain municipality because of not, I mean, reporting the way, I mean, that they wanted us to report. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Bupape, in a minute, please. I'm sorry to give you such a short time, but unfortunately, yeah, time is not on our side.
Well, one of the things I've been that we need to work on is, as Africans, one of the tragedies that we are faced with right now is that under the sun, there's very little or nothing in our languages. Our people don't have anything to read. Our people are not informed, and we accept that as a society. And you talking about government officials and their attitude toward us. Way back around 2004, when the CPON was in its infancy, I met one government official who said to me, "We don't like your paper. And the reason we don't like it is because it's easily understandable. And as leaders, when we move around communities talking to them, we're getting funny questions from old men and old women because they've gotten information from your newspaper that they understand to such an extent that they are able to raise questions. So we still have a serious problem of colonialism in this country. Some people tend to think that because we are now in democracy, colonialism is gone. No, colonialism is digging its roots deeper into our souls and minds as Africans. We believe we are better when we are English, and therefore we believe that our languages are dragging us down. So we've got a massive problem that we have to face as Africans, because right now under the sun, we've got nothing in our languages, and our people therefore become more continue to be ignorant about so many things that we know that we could be feeding them with, and because of this colonialism, look at many academics that are publishing thousands and thousands of articles each year, which none of them contributing anything to Black communities, because nothing is written in that. We are waiting for colonialists. We continue to prop up the colonial system Just like Steve Biko said, when he said that, the most lethal weapon in the hands of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed. Is exactly what is happening. We're all working to promote colonialism and not our freedom. Because when you don't write in our languages, when you don't talk in our languages, we are serving the colonial forces and not our own people. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I will go to Prof. Simpiwe because I think you have one question, and then Prof. Letswalo, you will wrap it up for us. Dr. Lucena has asked a big question. So if you can also try and be short in your response, and then I'll hand over to the MC after you are done. Thank you so much.
You kindly. Very briefly to Prof. Rowe, and that's a very important question. I have been out of action in terms of industry for a while now because I moved into academia, but I do know, Prof, that there are several audience metrics analysis platforms or suites, if you may, that a lot of companies use. And these can obviously help you with awareness metrics for you to get a sense of your reach of your social media posts, for example, the sort of impressions that you are cultivating. That means the number of times your content was displayed to people, and also audience growth rate sometimes can be measured as well through these awareness metrics analysis platforms or suites where you can check the speed at which you are gaining followers, right? And there are platforms that do engagement metrics as well. They can calculate for you and keep track of likes, comments, shares relative to your followers and your reach as well. Some can even do amplification rates, I think. I hope that's the term as well, where they show you sort of the number of shares that you're getting per post, just to show you your amplification metrics as well. But yeah, there are ones that go beyond that can show you a sense of customer loyalty and sentiment. This is where ratio of positive to negative mentions could be tracked through sentiment analysis software. Share of voice sometimes could also be tracked, I know, where you can get a sense of the metrics of how your brand mentions compared to other competitive brands. Some names to throw out, I used to know about Springtail while I was still working in industry. There are suites like, I think there's one called, I think Rival IQ. Yes, there's one that was called Rival IQ. I'm forgetting some of them, but yeah, Prof, there are proper suites, software suites that could help with this kind of audience tracking, metrics analysis, and so forth. And those stats can be very helpful to come up with business proposals to then sell to advertisers. But yeah, they do exist. They're Prof.
Thank you. Prof. Letswalo.
All right, thank you very much. And I will be brief. We have a challenge of the solo mentality of working. I think when the question was asked, there was also some solutions embedded in the question. One of the challenges that's being mentioned is that the use of language is limited in community media. UNISA is the only university in the country that offers all the 12 official languages, and that is a resource that we can capitalize on should there be a need to work with community media and to assist, perhaps through the short learning programs or the community engagement project that can be formed. We actually have short learning programs in the Department of African Languages, but those short learning programs are for basic communication skills. Now we might then need to identify the need that is there in the community media spaces, and we need basic writing skills for those who are writing in our indigenous languages, and those who are then in podcast. Can we then find a way in which we can upskill them
to ensure that as they communicate in our languages, they also show respect to our languages. So there's a need for collaboration between different departments, and also the public sector as well can be roped in to ensure that we also address this issue of where there is no support from the public sector, given the nature of community media and how they are exposing some of the ills that we are facing in the society. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you for all the questions that came through. I think for those of us who still have questions, we'll engage them through the different communication platforms that we have. I will hand over back to the MCs.
Thank you so much, Ms. Mashele, for guiding us through an engaging Q&A session. And thank you, everyone, for staying with us until thus far. Colleagues, today's discussion has been truly engaging, and we hope that you have enjoyed it. To conclude our discussion, I would like to call and welcome Mr. Thabang. Please note the next name I'm only allowed to call it, Mr. Thabang Jerry Masedi, lecturer from Public Relations, to give us the vote of thanks and to anchor the insightfulness of today's event. Mr. Masedi, Jerry, please do proceed.
Thank you, Mema Tangu and the team. First and foremost, as they are saying, Jerry, as Bonge, I just wanted to anchor a few aspects, but my job is really very brief. I would like to, the program directors, distinguished guests, our members of community, because I think today we are dealing with most community engagement, looking at the rural communities, members of our community, and our students, of course, our lecturers, unisons, and other stakeholders invited today. Good afternoon, Ndemasiari, Kemosegari, Dumelang, Sanbonani, Jambo, Khotsong. In that being said, I think as I'm going to give the vote of thanks, before I can do that fully by acknowledging one by one, let's, as we conclude this insightful engagement on digital community empowering our rural-based community media entities, it is also pivotal to really anchor what Prof. Letswalo said in terms of how the university has also, I can say it's steps ahead in terms of trying to ensure that our communities are given access, because we look at how the transformation goes beyond technologies and language, and it goes even to say, how do we then look at the inclusion, your participation, and giving access to the voice or the representation of communities as a whole. And just to put some, I'm not sure if we are shining or doing what, but yeah, we deserve the flowers. We, under the Department of Modern Language and Linguistics, there are few engagements or several community engagements which are trying to foster and promote the language in terms of, one, you can think of children's literature, you can think of DT, SFL translating our modules content to indigenous language, the D8 project that is also looking at the glossaries and promoting. So those are some of the aspects to show that at UNISA, we don't just sit and write about papers of transformation, but we go beyond that. And we also look into how our speakers now made it or emphasized on how the community media remains one of the most important if we want to change or to shape our community, and also the indigenous knowledge that we actually look into and how we must continue to preserve that. But because I'm not the presenter today, team, I'm not really going to delve much into giving those flowers to all the aspects. And you know, I was happy when I saw that Prof. Mukudwana did not do the welcoming. I'm saying in Sepedi, they often say, Le Shapula Mwing Lebewa ke Mongai. So, Prof. Mukudwana, you are going to be my vote of thankers. So I'll just do the first part, then you can, with your power vested in me for now, or with the power vested in me as the closer, I'm going to allow you to thank our guest speakers, but I will do the first part where I'm going to thank our program director. I think I will not do justice if I don't recognize them by name. First of all, Jwaha, I always call him Jwaha, or Fumani, and Mema Hlangu, Charlotte, who you have driven this car. You know, I know that even when we were supposed to end at 1, you were so patient. Because you did not want us to miss the opportunity to harness this knowledge and to learn a lot from our community stakeholders, entities, and fraternities. You allowed the discussion to even go beyond an hour. So we really thank you. Miss Bella Batho, Sive, Ramaifo, Vilankulu, Lebogang Mokoni, Meswazi, Memashele. We are really grateful. You know, when you were introducing those speakers, I was like, why am I not becoming the next speaker also so that I can be introduced? So you have really driven this project, this engagement today very well, and you have made justice to our speakers. But as I have said, Prof. Mukudwana, can I send the Macheron and be sure that we are going to do what we have agreed on? The Macheron, the Masiaro, Prof. That's where I step down. So, and as I close, because my vote of thanks will just really say for the team, we really appreciate you. We applaud you. And in one of the community radio stations, I think Ntateslo knows it very well. We always say, radio yaophela le batho. So with that being said, we'll meet in the next engagements. Prof. Mukudwana, over to you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Mr. Masedi, for really doing the protocol of thanking everyone by name and also by their contribution into the discussion today. You have done the heavy lifting. What is left for me is just the few things to thank everyone who have stayed with the program from the morning when we started until now. It is really late. Also, Dr. Malachi, for stepping in for me in the morning. I truly appreciate that. You are forever ready. And also to all the contributors, I am very proud of the nature of the conversations that we are having in the department, and also the outreach that brings in the case studies that brings or shows the live reality or the lived realities of what is happening within community media. It was so enticing because it went across board with different experiences, those who have gotten funding from the MDDA, those who have been using stakeholder engagement to get funding, those who have been trying to get that from websites and Facebooks. So there has been many different strategies that have been communicated here. Prof. Rance, I was very excited also when you discussed how money can be harnessed within the system. Everyone's contribution has been very, very valuable. Prof. Letsoalo, I have met you today intellectually. We talked in management spaces, and your passion in linguistics and community languages that we use on our daily, it's really magnificent. And you coming in today, I think it brought in an interdisciplinarity that is truly unmatched. As you say, there are certain things that seriously cannot be intellectually understood without going into the depth of our languages. With that, I will say, Lakobera, it means it can't even be translated, but it means it's late. We have to go. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you, Mr. Masedi and Prof. Rowe, for your conclusion. Thank you, everybody, for attending. Please be on the lookout for our next events, and please do join us.
Thank you so much, colleagues, for being with us. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Simply type UNISA Communication Science to stay updated with what is happening in our department. God bless you and have a lovely day. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Yes, thank you. Bye.
Forget to stop.
Moshad.